Hi, this is Roger from Kanka Labs today with an assortment of tips and tools for cleaning sensitive surfaces of front plates and everything you can encounter when it's about restoring electronics. So all the tips and the tools and the chemicals I will show you are simply from my experience from the last decades in restoring old electronics. Of course, they are not complete. There are alternatives. So if you have positive results with other chemicals or tools, then write them down in the video comments. But do not ask me, does this or that work? Because probably I don't know. So, and let's start with the most difficult part of restoring, and that's the front panel, because if there anything goes wrong, you usually don't have a second chance. And so you should start with the mildest tool you have, and that is in my case usually very fine mesh microfiber cloth, and I dunk that into lukewarm soap water and try to clean the front panel with that. And there are different, let's call it mesh sizes for microfiber cloth. And you usually get the finest for cleaning your glasses or optics like camera lenses. This is one especially for optics. And this is the finest I got for household uses. So both are suitable, but first of all, use only soap water and not any other chemical. If there then remains any stains, you should try the next slightly more aggressive chemical, and that is a foam that is safe to apply on plastics. So you won't get this brand here in the US. So watch for the description if it is safe also for plastics and for every kind of plastics, because there are so many types of plastic that react different to different chemicals that you perhaps first try it on the backside or a little spot where it doesn't matter if the cleaning foam does any harm. An alternative or the next step is to use isopropanol alcohol. And you can apply this in two ways. Either you have these special wipes here which are soaked with isopropanol, and I'll tell you one thing. As alcohol, use only isopropanol, not any other kind of alcohol, because isopropanol is the mildest and it doesn't leave any residue if it is completely cleaned afterwards. And for example, these wipes here, they are especially for medical and for electronic uses, so you can be quite sure that this is the mildest way to apply isopropanol alcohol. But sometimes it may be better, especially when cleaning in some corners, to use cotton swabs, which are in Germany better known as Q-tips. I think this is also a brand in or from the US. And you get isopropanol in liquid form quite cheaply on eBay or in your local drugstore. Sometimes an alternative can be these cleaning wipes for glasses, but I would not recommend them at first hand. Only if you don't have anything else, you can try these as an alternative. And what I would not use is these abrasive sponges. Although they feel soft, they can in fact really scratch your surface. So beware of sponges of any kind which are for household uses. I would not use them on sensitive front panels. So, and then there are finally special cleaners for hard cases. Getting labels off, there are special sprays to dissolve labels, and they work quite well, but they are also a bit more aggressive than isopropanol. So also try them first of all at an invisible or unimportant spot on your front panel or perhaps on the back panel. And for getting paint off if you really don't get any further with isopropanol. The next thing is acetone. This dissolves nearly every kind of paint, but that depends on your kind of front panel. It also dissolves quite a lot of plastics, so be extremely careful with acetone. This is only the kind of last resort if nothing else works. Then try this. It's one step ahead of using sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid. And for very hard corrosions, you could use either such a glass fiber cleaning brush or fiberglass cleaning brush, whatever is the sequence of words. This has the advantage that you can apply it very localized, but also you should be aware that this can grind off not only paint, but it grinds off also metal and anything else. It doesn't look like to be very aggressive, but it not only cleans, it really grinds everything off. So, and finally, a kind of snake oil which really works. That is called in Germany from Contact Chemie Surface 95, and this is a spray that contains a bit of silicone, and that means it puts a very fine layer of silicone, and that way it also optically removes small scratches because it simply fills the scratches and you get a shiny and unscratched looking surface, even if the scratches are still there. So the kind of repair that you can do with that is not permanent, but if you wipe with your hands a few times over the surface, the effect will show less and less, but you can repeat this as often as you want. And for presenting your precious old electronics, this is the next best thing than buying a new front plate. Especially if you can't polish any scratches away, because you would otherwise polish also the lettering away and some other important things on the front panel. So the next thing is how to polish acrylic or other transparent plastics like polycarbonate. Don't use any standard polishing chemicals that are perhaps used for polishing your car. For acrylic and polycarbonate, there are specialized polishing chemicals, and you can see in Germany it nearly is the same word, acrylic, or plexiglass as it is best known in Germany, or this acrylic polishing paste or cream. And I'll show you before and after two of these covers for electronic learning kits. This one is from before, and you can see how heavily scratched it is. And this is after 10 minutes of manual polishing. It's nearly perfect. Again, I would have to repeat this again for another 10 minutes, but it is much better than before, and both of them look the same, and this one was exactly as scratched as this one before I treated this with this acrylic repair paste. And as I told you, this also works with polycarbonate, which is the second most important transparent material. So another example of successfully removed scratches is the Braun AM radio kit that I did show you in another video. And you can see now the acrylic case is completely scratch free. It was not heavily, but it was scratched when I got this. And you can see from the reflection here that it's totally clear and shiny as new from all four sides. So this was all done with this special acrylic polishing paste. And do not use any motorized electrical tools for polishing, because acrylic, when it gets warm, it starts to warp and finally to melt. So although it is quite tedious, and after 10 minutes probably your hand ankles will start to hurt from the polishing action. It's better to polish it manually. But when it comes to acrylic, you often have the problem that some parts have broken off, and there are also specialized glues for acrylic. Here in Europe we have this Acryfix, and this is nothing else but liquid acrylic which hardens under ultraviolet light. So that means if you apply this very carefully, the line where the two parts have broken and are glued together again are invisible after carefully gluing this together again. And because it hardens under UV light, you have a lot of time to reposition the parts exactly. Of course, there are other specialized acrylic glues. I would not use super glue for this kind of work, because although super glue glues most everything, the point where the two parts are glued together again, that is visible after super glue has hardened. So that is a whole science in itself, because for every kind of plastic there is a separate ideal glue. Anyway, for acrylic it's this Acryfix or similar glues that are nothing else but liquid acrylic. So, and finally 2 tips. The first is Plastidip, which is a kind of liquid isolation. This comes in handy when you have some open wires with high voltage that you want to isolate, but you can't access them. Then use this liquid isolation, which is safe up to, depending on the thickness that you applied, up to a few thousand volts. So this is even for high voltage isolation. And you can peel it off later if it didn't work, so it's not a permanent thing. And the second is to repair your lettering. You may remember or have seen my video about the Retrobrite, and the original lettering on this Braun Lectron radio was already completely away. It was non-existent when I got this. And as I already told you in the Retrobrite video, I got some transparent sheets of water-soluble decals that are usually used in or for plastic model kits, etc. And you can see, of course, it's a little bit shiny, but nevertheless, it's the next best thing to getting near to the original state. Just to print it with a laser printer, then cut it out and put it into lukewarm water, and then you can shift it from the underlying paper onto your front panel. And it's, as I said, the second best to getting a new one or getting an original printing. So that was it for today, with some tips about what I use when restoring electronics, especially the front panels. And share your tips and your positive experience with me and the other viewers down in the comments. And that was it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye from Roger, bye from Kanka Labs.